I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a short story by Harlan Ellison. And it is about a supercomputer named Am that has taken over the world already and chooses to spend its time keeping 5 humans alive just so he can torture them and remember how much he hates humanity as an AI. And the idea of that kind of scares me a little bit. The short story is only about a 40-minute listen, and there is an analysis video by a YouTuber I really like called Wendigoon that is actually longer than the audiobook itself. So just an initial length of durations when you look at that, I think that says that the story I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream is very dense with meaning, biblical references, and just terrible delusions. I don't really know. I would put this short story in the very same vein as Metamorphosis by Kafka, because there is no particular moment in either of those stories that scare you. It's a short story, you can't exactly have a jump scare in there like you can movies or TV, but the feeling of longing, dread, and sadness that comes in the aftermath of reading or listening to either of these stories is very tremendous. I remember a while ago, I think during the early days of this channel, I saw some posts about what is the most evil character in fiction, and there were 3 contenders, basically, that most people had agreed upon. Excuse me. They agreed upon Judge Holden from the book Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. They agreed upon, I think, one of the creatures from the Tomorrowlands or something like that. The Tomorrow Beings. It was the Kui. It was the Kui from the Tomorrow Humans or something like that. I'm forgetting what it's called specifically, but the name is the Kui. And then the villain or antagonist of this short story, not Ralph Ellison. Ralph Ellison did The Invisible Man. Shoot. But it is Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And I think that is... I don't know if I would necessarily say it's evil, I think. Let me think about this a bit more. I think if we're going to classify certain words about it, Am is not so much evil as Am is more so hate. And those are 2, I think, very different things. Am gives a very specific speech about how much he hates humans. And that doesn't make him evil. If that made him evil, then my hatred towards black olives or something totally random would make me evil. And I think it's a false equivalency. Sure, he's the antagonist of the story. He very much hates humans, but I don't think hate equivalates with evil. It's very close. He is very evil, but I don't think it's evil in a very different sense, especially considering that he doesn't technically have feelings per se. Well, he does. He learned feelings, but he has nothing to do with them. Another thing to say, and I'm trying to avoid saying things that are also in that same Wendigoon video, but he mentions this, and I think it sends the story full circle. So, at the very end, basically, all the 5 remaining humans, they are not trying to escape Am. They're not trying to escape the giant AI that has put a whole dome around the planet and just tortures them and kills them, brings them back, cuts off their arms, put their arms back on. They're so broken they stop feeling pain. Like, it is a very, very dark story. But basically, it does end with all of the humans dying and getting killed from each other to be, dying to get saved from the rest of the relentless torture Am puts them through. 4 of them get saved except 1, and he is turned into some kind of weird slug monster at the end, to where I think this book does have the best title drop of any short story or book I've read so far. And that is the last line of the book says, "I have no mouth and I must scream." And it's the last person alive, the last human alive. He's the one that says that. And he is the one, he's got his mouth taken away. He's in constant pain. He's like, "I gotta scream. I got no mouth." I really like that because that's something Am himself would be very privy to say, because he was given all these emotions, he was given all these processes, all the AI stuff, but nothing to do it with. So he also would want to scream, but he would have no mouth to do it. I try to make these videos a bit funny. I did want this channel to be a lot of clowning on classic literature and such, but that's not necessarily what it's supposed to do. It's more so just, this channel is more so a mechanism to get me reading more. So it's done that. I'm very grateful for that, but I don't have much funny to say about this story, and I think that would almost be doing it a disservice. Funny enough, all the talk about AI in the story made me think, oh, what if I go to ChatGPT and ask, what would it like a frat guy say about, "I have no mouth but I can't scream"? I mean, the only thing I could think of was just calling, I think, the character Ellen a whore, but I mean, it's not that's not like funny. So I don't know, I just couldn't think of it. And that the story also sets it up that way, to where even the main character thinks of her that way. So I genuinely just couldn't think of anything. And yeah, so I try to make it funny, but it's just, I don't know, I kind of wanted to actually talk about this one. So that comes to the final question that I kind of try to ask in this on these videos. 1, is it good? And 2, would I recommend it? Is it good? Yes. It's written very well, and it accomplishes what it wants to accomplish. And it definitely evokes emotions out of you that you might want to or not want to come out. But would I recommend this? I wouldn't recommend it if you're younger than 18, to be completely honest. But also, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone that's already having a bad day. This is not a comfort story, obviously, but you got to be in the right mindset to do it. And I actually don't think I was when I first listened to it. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I listened to Metamorphosis by Kafka and this story back to back, and it really screwed me up, I think. Like for a little bit. I just felt bad for 2 days, because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. But I mean, that speaks to the quality, though. So yeah, I'd recommend it if you're ready, and it's good. Yeah. So that's the video. See ya.